everyone, welcome to Clumsy Cakes. I'm Amy. Today we're going to make an espresso Oreo cheesecake. So before we get started, we're going to need to make our Oreo crust. This is what you guys are going to need. Some unsalted butter and Oreos. A lot of times what I would do is put in some sugar, make this crust a little bit more sweet, but Oreos are plenty sweet enough in my opinion. If you guys want to add some sugar, go for it. It's totally up to you. But for me, Oreos are plenty sweet, so I'm not going to add any additional sugar. What I'm going to do is place about a row of Oreos into my food processor. And I'm going to pulse this until I get some coarse crumbs. And now I'm going to add on my butter. And pulse again. What I'm looking for is the texture of wet sand. So now I'm going to bring back my prepared pan that I put aside. And we're going to put in our crumbs. If you need to, you can take this out and then just replace it once we're done putting the crumbs in there. Sometimes makes it a little easier. So we get every last bit out. So now we're going to pack it down. A lot of people use something like the bottom of a glass or something to press this into the pan, but I just use my hands. So once this is pressed in your pan, you're going to put it in a 350-degree oven for 10 minutes. Once that is done, you're going to put it in the freezer for 1 hour. The reason that I do this is so that when you go to slice your cake, the crust won't just crumble everywhere. It'll stay together. Alright, so now we are going to actually make the batter for our cheesecake. So what you're going to need, 3 blocks of cream cheese, softened. It's pretty important that they are softened. It's not totally crucial. It'll just take a little bit longer for it to cream up and be soft. So going to need some espresso powder, some sugar. You're going to need some Greek yogurt. Also, sour cream will work the same way. And also there's some vanilla extract in here. And you're also going to need some eggs. So what you're looking for with this is for it to be completely smooth and creamy. Depending on how soft your cream cheese was to start with, could take up to 10 minutes. But put it on medium and just be watching for it to be smooth and creamy. And I like to give this a scrape of the bottom and the sides of the bowl just to make sure everything gets incorporated and creamy and smooth. Now we're just going to keep mixing. Give it another scrape. Now that it's pretty smooth and creamy, I'm going to add the espresso powder. For this, I like to just pour a little bit in and then taste, kind of taste as I go. What I'm looking for with any flavoring that I'm putting into a cheesecake is for you to obviously be able to taste whatever flavoring it is, but I still want to be able to taste cheesecake. This is a cheesecake after all, so you don't want to mask that cheesecake flavor. just gonna taste for flavor. And I can't taste the espresso at all yet. So, another teaspoon. Another taste for seasoning. Still cannot taste any espresso. Another teaspoon goes in. Now we're up to a tablespoon. I'm getting a little impatient with this because I just tasted it again and I still can't taste any espresso. So I'm gonna go up to a tablespoon. So now we're at 2 tablespoons. And we're there. So that was 2 tablespoons. So now, and at this point, you'll see your batter starts to get a lot looser. I assume it has something to do with science and the proteins in the sugar or something. But I don't know, and I love science, so I'm very interested to know. By now, you guys are probably seeing why I call my channel Clumsy Cakes, because I feel like every baking channel I see, their bowl looks a little bit cleanlier, but it's not gonna happen with me. Now I'm gonna add in my Greek yogurt and vanilla extract. Scrape down the bottom and the sides of the bowl one more time. And at this point, you want to make sure that your batter is as smooth as you can get it, because at this point we're going to add our eggs. And if you beat eggs too much, they start to get kind of gummy in the final product, and we don't want that. So before adding eggs, we want to make sure it's pretty smooth. If the final batter isn't totally flawlessly smooth, I do have a trick around that, because especially if you're adding flavor to something or changing the color of your cheesecake, those little specks of unsoftened cream cheese or unincorporated cream cheese won't really melt. So it'll just be a white speck in your brown or pink or whatever color cheesecake. And that's not the most flattering. But like I said, I do have a way around that. So stay tuned. See how my batter still has some specks in it? That's okay. And now you're gonna add your eggs, and we're gonna add them one at a time. Incorporate, add another, incorporate, add another, and so on. So you want to mix these in just until incorporated, because again, you don't want to overbeat your eggs. So now our batter is all done. So now I'm going to show you guys my trick to get the lumps out. So we're going to put this over our pan. And we're going to dump it in here. So all of the smooth stuff is going to go through the sieve, but none of the chunks are going to. So I have a very smooth, wonderful cheesecake. This method takes a little bit of time, but I promise it's worth it. But obviously, if this really doesn't matter to you, if there's some chunks in there, by all means, just pour the cheesecake in there. This is totally optional. So now we have all of the chunky bits in here and all the good stuff in there. Last thing you want to do before it goes in the oven is give it a tap. Make sure that all the air bubbles are out. What we're going to do is cook this in a water bath. So I know this is a little bit hard to see, but do you see how the water in the water bath is about maybe a little bit less than half the way up the sides of the pan? That's what you want. A water bath is just a bigger pan than whatever you're going to use to bake your cheesecake. So you're going to put the pan that you're baking in the water bath, fill the water bath up about halfway or a little bit less, up the sides of the pan, not the sides of the roasting pan, the sides of whatever you're baking. And what this does is it makes it so that you won't get cracking on the surface of your cheesecake. It's not totally foolproof. It may still happen, but this greatly decreases your chances of getting that. So this cheesecake is in a 350-degree oven, and it'll be in there for about an hour. You really don't want to go by the time, you want to go by what you see. And what you want is, you want to jiggle the pan, and the sides of the cheesecake will be set so they won't move. And the middle of the cheesecake is just going to jiggle just slightly. And I'll show you guys at that time. So what you're gonna do, between 45 minutes and an hour, you're going to jiggle it. And you see how the sides are set, but the middle jiggles just kind of slightly? That's when you know when it's done, and that's perfect. So what you're gonna do at this point is just shut the oven off and crack the door and leave it in for another hour. So this is what the cheesecake looks like after 45 minutes in the oven. Now I'm going to put some saran wrap over it and I'll put it in the fridge overnight. This can be placed in the fridge for just a few hours and then can be eaten, but in my personal opinion, it's best overnight. I just think that the texture is better that way. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so now it's time for arguably the most fun part of this process. It's time to decorate. So what we're gonna do first is cut our Oreos. We're going to have 16 little rosettes around the sides of our cheesecake, and we want half of an Oreo on every other rosette. So if we have 16 rosettes, we're gonna need 8 halves, so that's 4 cookies. In here I have our serrated knife. You want to use a serrated knife because you want to minimize the chance that these are going to break. So you want to just be really gentle and really patient. Just cut these in half. And if one half comes off, it's not a big deal. We can just stick it back on after. Like that. So I'm going to do the rest of my Oreos and then I will meet you back here to top the cake. So now that we have that out of the way, we're going to unmold our cheesecake. So this cheesecake has baked for 45 minutes and then it was in the oven with the oven off and the door cracked to just cool for an hour, and then it went in the fridge overnight. And now it is all set and ready to go. So now we're gonna unmold it. So you're obviously gonna need your cheesecake, some more parchment paper, and you're gonna need 2 cutting boards. Try to use as lightweight of cutting boards as possible, and I'll show you why. So our first step is we're just gonna take off the sides. Now we're just going to take off the paper, which I think is very satisfying. Whee! So now you're going to take out a piece of parchment paper to cover the cake. You can also use scissors to cut that, but I just tear it. top it with the other cutting board. This part can be kind of tricky, hence why I'm sitting down, because as we know, I am clumsy and I will wreck this. So as carefully as you can, you're gonna flip. Okay, take off the parchment paper, cover with another piece of parchment paper. And like I said, you want to get the lightest weight cutting boards that you can find because you want to reduce the chance as much as you can squashing this cheesecake. There we go again. And flip. And there you go. And now it's time to decorate our cheesecake. This is what you're gonna need. The Oreo halves that we pre-cut before and the whipped cream that we made before. So we're going to start by making the rosettes on our cheesecake. Like I said, we're gonna do 16 of those. And I'll show you how we're gonna do that. Apply even pressure, pull up. And don't worry too much if these aren't super pretty. We're gonna cover them up with Oreos, so it will be fine. And sometimes you can just kind of mold it with the tip and make it a little bit prettier. As you can see, I'm not an expert on this. So that is done. As you can see, we have 16 rosettes. I don't even know if you call them rosettes, because we didn't really do a spiral. I'm not really sure. But anyways, we're going to, like I said before, we're going to put an Oreo on every other rosette. And there you go. And you can see that with minimal skill and just a little bit of patience, we can make ourselves a beautiful cheesecake. So now it's time for the all-important taste test. Oh, so good, so rich, so creamy. I did a good job of showing you guys just how simple it is. So simple, a little bit time consuming, but maybe most of the time was the cake setting and cooling, which is mostly downtime. You just had to sit around and wait for it. It's kind of a labor of love in that way, but it is so worth it. I can't even tell you, you're just gonna have to take my word for it and try it yourself. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me, so that we could make a little bit of a mess, learn some things, but most of all, make something delicious. I hope to see you guys back here again. Please like and subscribe down below for more. And to get the recipe and all the directions for this cake, please go to my website, www.clumsykcakes.com. And you'll also find so much more where this came from. If you guys have any suggestions for what you want to see next, please leave me a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.